Okie dokie. Okay, so hopefully. Hopefully I'm coming out live. Let's just double check. Excellent. So hopefully I'm coming out live and people will join me to let me know. As always, I'm a bit paranoid about hearing me. To go over the day 6 or fast moving through our 7 days of dog sports challenges, coming to almost the end, so plenty of time for you to submit your videos to hopefully get drawn out, to get a place on one of my courses. But I'm going to hang fire and make sure that people are joining, and hopefully you can hear me. Just let me know. Somebody could just hit like or make sure. Just post a comment. That would be great. Actually, just check. Oh yeah. Okay. Cool. I'm coming out like that's coming out nice. The sound's coming out all right. So, welcome. Hello there on Facebook, wherever you're watching this from. If you're watching this retrospectively, first and foremost, big shout out to anybody that has partaken in this week's challenges that I've set. So 7 days of dog sports challenges that's been running from Monday, each day a different video with the different challenges, and the response has been fantastic. The videos that people have been posting has been fantastic to watch. Watching you have fun with your dog, watching you embrace challenges, watching you learn about your dog's understanding, and hopefully develop skills that are going to help you in whatever sport that you currently partake in, whether it's obedience, agility, working trials, IGP, Mondio, Heelworks music, dog diving, scent work, whatever it is that you're doing. I know that the skills covered are going to massively help your training. Once you've identified the areas that need to be strengthened, that's what we're always looking at. How well does my dog understand this behaviour? For those of us that partake in dog sports, we're investing a lot of time, energy, effort, money into competing, into partaking in dog sports. We want to have some successes. Whether the success is personal, it's just, for example, it might be getting the clear round, or it might be getting round a test, or it might be just getting that first qualification, or ultimately competing at the elite level of dog sports. We want to hopefully be successful and enjoy the process. So we need to be truthful with ourselves to identify any gaps in our training. And that's hopefully what the 7 day challenges has been showing you. Areas that you can improve, issue notes, areas that you can improve, areas that you can make better to ultimately bring you the success that you deserve. So each day I've been doing a different challenge, and when you've posted your videos, if you've included the hashtag 7 days of dog sports challenges, you'll be eligible. Tomorrow I'll be drawing a person out randomly to win a place on one of my courses. Either the Heelwork Masterclass, which is a comprehensive course on all the stages of teaching heel work, from literally a puppy to advanced top level competition heel work training. There's input about handling, deportment, posture, the mechanical skills for the various exercises, all the technicalities, how to build motivation, everything that you need to train heel work from A to Z or Z. And also you can choose to partake in the Obedience Fanatics course. That is the course that I showed you. I gave you a glimpse of it yesterday. If you haven't had a chance to check that out, the video is on YouTube of the recap from last night, where I give you a glimpse into the courses for heel work and Obedience Fanatics. Obedience Fanatics is the course that covers everything from foundation skills, developing tug, shaping, attention with your dog, focus, engagement, all that stuff. Plus, it goes on to teach you all the intricacies and the details of teaching all the competition exercises that you will ever need. Retrieve, send away, distance control, scent discrimination, stays, and so forth. All of that is covered in the Obedience Fanatics course. So if you are the winner of a place on those courses, you can select which one you want to join. In addition to that, you are going to get a place on my VIP group, which is called Obedience Fanatics, and it's where my community of dog sports fanatics all congregate. They submit videos for feedback and coaching from me. I also post additional contacts. I have content, I should say. I have people in to do talks on various aspects, whether it's physical conditioning for dog sports, whether it's mental game, whether it's overcoming struggles. Anything to do with dog sports is covered in that group, and you can submit your videos and get feedback and guidance about your training. So it's a pretty great group to be a part of. The amount of success that those people and the members have had across a multitude of dog sports is absolutely phenomenal. In that group, we've had people that have competed at Crufts in the Obedience Championship, that have won at Crufts in the Obedience Championship, and there's several competing next year that are on the group. We've had people that competed at World Championships in IGP, history making members with first in their breeds. We've had people compete at Crufts in Rally O, in national championships, in national competitions, in world championships. The depth of people in that group and the enthusiasm, the sense of community is absolutely phenomenal. I'm super proud of everything that they do and all that they've achieved. And if you want to be part of that group, you can. I did say I was going to share the links, but I'll share those links today for definite for those groups. And actually, I forgot as well to share some toy groups. Toy dog toy makers that you can. Somebody asked about balls on rope, so that just a little note to self. I've got to just remind myself about that. So today I shared a reel showing, or the simple challenge of, excuse me, how many behaviours can your dog do in 1 minute? And we've got people attempting it. Hopefully they'll still be putting their videos on. And as I said, you've got until 5 p.m. tomorrow to submit your video to be eligible. But submit your videos, use the hashtag in it, and I can find it on social media and on the internet, and I can pick a random person out. But the video I posted was simply to do as many behaviours in 1 minute for one cue. For one reward, not for one cue, for one reward. So you can use as many cues as you want, but the end being only one reinforcer. And that process is what you would call chaining, where you link several behaviours together in succession for one reinforcement. And that actually is quite an integral part of competing successfully in dog sports. One of the things that can often happen to dogs that are trained, certainly those of you that gravitate to lots of reinforcement or the use of reinforcement in your training, or even if you use an alternative method, is reliability and consistency. At the end of the day, we want our dogs to be reliable. We want them to be consistent in what we ask of them. And we need to prepare them adequately to compete in competitions. So we think of it logically. When they go to competitions, we ask them to do several exercises in succession for one reward in an environment that's different for them, under conditions with other dogs around and people around and burger vans, a different place, and so forth and so forth. And if we, in training, only ask them to do one single behaviour and equate that to, and the dog will receive one reinforcement, that's going to ultimately create the difference between those two scenarios absolutely colossal. And that's one of the fundamental errors that so many people can make when they are preparing their dogs for dog sports. So as a integral part of preparing a dog to compete in dog sports, irrespective of what sport you partake in, you need to incorporate something called chaining. Okay, and that's where you sequence several behaviors together for one reward. So that's essentially what we were evaluating, and obviously we only did a 1 minute where we went through those behaviours relatively quickly. If you think logically, in most dog sports, probably with the exception of agility, but most other dog sports, you are in the ring for at least a minute. And even in agility, you're probably going to be there for 30 seconds. So whenever we excuse me, slurp of coffee, stop my coughing. Whenever we prepare our dogs in training, we want them to do more than is required in training than they ever face in competition. So that way, when they go into competition, the scenario becomes easier for the dog. So the mantra, fight hard. No, hang on a second. I've got to get this right. Well, think about it. Hang on a second. It's fight hard, train. No. Hang on a second. I'll get it in the end. It is train hard, fight easy. Yeah, I got there in the end. That was a bit of a tongue twister. Train hard, fight easy. Meaning that's an analogy that obviously anybody that's competed in combat sports and boxing specifically will have heard, where you make your training considerably harder and more difficult than what you're going to face in competition. That way it gives you that abundance of confidence and belief that your dog can be reliable in those competitions. So the way in which you're going to start that is by simply incorporating simple behaviours or tricks that your dog might know in a short sequence. Start off really, really small. Just start with 10 or 15 seconds and ask the dog to do several behaviours for one reinforcement at the end, and gradually grow that so the dog can do more and more. You can then extend the individual behaviors to more complex behaviors and longer sequences of behavior. You might do a complete retrieve and then a bit of heel work, or healing as they call it in the States. And then you can ask them to do some distance control or signals. Once you've got that understanding and the dog is fluent, you can grow it and grow it and grow it. And the idea is that your dog has to do considerably more in training, so when you go into competition, it becomes easy for the dog. Today's challenge was all about chaining, and whilst it was wrapped up in a little fun game and the challenge of how many tricks can your dog do, or how many behaviors can your dog do in 1 minute, actually that has a really, really massive impact on dog sports. So how many numbers did you get? Anybody that partook? I'm going to just have a look on Facebook and see if anybody's responded. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a quick look. Let's have a look if anybody's asked me, got any questions. If you have on chaining. Ooh. So if you have any questions on chaining, by all means ask. If you have any questions about the challenge, let me know how many behaviors you got up to as well. That's another interesting. Anybody that's had a crack at it already, let me know how many behaviors you managed to complete with your dog. So as a starting point, I use variable praise. Is that okay? Yes, absolutely. Giving the dog a good dog and asking it to keep going is really is absolutely fine. Not a problem at all. And I think, wow, you got 27. Brilliant, Janine. Excellent. 27 is brilliant. Really, really good. So almost 1 every 2 seconds. That's fantastic. So see if anybody, I think I got 37, I said with Gurley. I think, rightly, remember. See if anybody can get any more than 30. It'd be interesting to see. So absolutely, when you start the process of chaining, and it's, I would say, those of us that use reinforcement, it's as much a reinforcement to reward our dogs as it is for the dog to be reinforced. And what then happens is we undermine the dog's ability to compete because we frequently reinforce them. When we don't reward them, the dog either can do one or two things depending on the character and temperament of the dog. Either the dog is going to get concerned and worried and shut down. Alternatively, the dog is going to get really aroused and start to get frustrated because they normally would expect reinforcement, but they didn't get it. So that can cause them to get what appears to be over aroused. And actually what the dog is saying is, you haven't rewarded me, I'm doing the behaviors, and gets a bit exasperated. So think about that when you prepare your dog. Petra, it was good fun. My whole body was in. Excellent. So 37, 38. Well done, Petra. Really, really good. Really impressive. So don't forget, post your videos, tag, put the hashtag 7 days of dog sports challenges, and you can get a place on one of my groups. But I mean, we'd love to have you anyway in the community, but I certainly will. That's amazing. 37, 38. So when you first start this, as I said, start off really small. Start off in locations free from distractions, as is with all of the challenges. Start in environments that have minimal distraction, and once your dog is confident, you can start to take that onto the road to different locations. Obviously, if the dog makes an error, you can initially ignore the error and go on to the next behaviour and make a mental note, because it may be that the dog isn't quite strong on that individual behaviour. You may choose to in future not include that initially and work on that and get it stronger. Alternatively, when your dog is more competent, what I'd actually do is I'd actually start the sequence again. But that's a progression that you need to build towards. If you do that when the dog is lacking confidence, it's just going to further deteriorate the dog's confidence and cause them to be concerned. You've always got to think of putting the confidence as the light to which you will guide you, the guiding force within your training, confidence with your dog. So training is definitely something that everybody should be incorporating into their training, and it's something, as I said, that in a lot of training traditionally we never used to do. We were very much brought up, you never put it together until you put it in the ring. You always did the little bits, you never did the exercise in its entirety. And again, when I look back, I find that such a strange way of thinking. If we think of it logically, it would be the equivalent of, if you were preparing for a marathon and you only did, 1 mile runs every day. When you had to do 24 or 26, I can't remember what it is for a full marathon, you're going to be seriously struggling because your body hasn't been conditioned to run that same amount. Same with our dog training. If we're only doing short sections or one exercise or one behaviour, when we ask the dog to to do more than that, that's when the chances of the dog's reliability and consistency is going to break down. So consider incorporating training. Start with a conservative amount of time, 15 seconds, grow that, and start off with adding more and more behaviours until eventually you can do an infinite amount for an extended period of time, and your dog is reliable in all those behaviours. Really, really important to incorporate with dog sports. So, whilst we're on live, is there anybody got any questions about their own training? Any of the other challenges that they'd like some feedback or guidance on? I know there's lots of questions about play. Hopefully, I've given some feedback on that. Additionally, obviously on YouTube, I share a lot of content relating to dog training and overcoming various challenges relating to shaping, play, sports-specific challenges. Have a look on that. There is playlists on my YouTube page which has various topics, reactive dogs, for example, my own dogs and training, competing. The 7-day dog sports challenge is now got a playlist, so go and check that out if you want to get any additional information. So any questions on any of your training challenges that you might have? Let's have a look. Or any of the challenges that's been going on this week. Whilst people might try and type. So first off, as I said, I wanted to just reiterate how much fun it's been seeing, it's been seeing people embrace these changes. It's been absolutely brilliant to see your videos that you've posted of you just having fun with your dog. That should always be the benchmark for any training session. Are you having fun? Now, fun doesn't necessarily have to always be that it's frantic and, you know, really fully energetic. It just might be a simple little puzzle that you're posing to the dog, but it's really important to use that as a indicator of where you are in your training, making sure that you're enjoying it, and that's definitely come across in your videos. So Janine asks, I think teaching Leon to retrieve will be hard. Yeah, absolutely. Just start off with pick the article that you think he's more likely to be successful on. Break it down into pieces and making sure, I think I discussed this earlier in the week, about shifting the criteria as you go along. Try not to reward the same behaviours too many times, or the dog can easily get stuck on that. Okay. Okay, Haley asked, really interesting thought. Often at agility training we do shorter sequence, tending to only do the whole sequence once at the end of training. Have loved all these challenges and thank you. Thank you for that. For first off, your feedback. I really appreciate you partaking. And yes, that's absolutely a classic agility principle. And that's, again, it's a similar principle from obedience. Back when I got off the arc and started obedience training 30 plus years ago, we were told you never put it together. You did the exercise in their individual entity. You never ever sequence with them and so forth. And when you think of it logically, you think, how back to front is that? So let's take an agility dog. In training, where you do 3 jumps, reward, or you do a tiny sequence and reward the dog. The idea being is that you're going to maintain the enthusiasm, which with a lot of dogs, that's absolutely going to be the case. Especially dogs that are predisposed to wanting to run. So, but then you also have to think to yourself, well, what are they learning? Okay, so let's discuss that dog first. The dog that loves to play the game. So in training, you only do short sequences, but when you go to dog shows, or agility competitions, they have to do more. So now you're saying to them, hey, in agility shows is where you're going to get even more opportunity to do the fast and furious thing. Well, think how that's going to play out for you. Over time, you're going to get a dog that's really, really, really over-aroused at that environment, because they're expected to do more. They get more opportunities to run around, which is self-reinforcing. So in effect, they're going to be getting in a heightened state of arousal. The other thing that happens when you go into competition is you allow criteria to shift. So the dog, for classic example, you go to competition or you do your short sequences, you either don't put a start line in, or if you do a start line, the dog has to maintain it. So your dog does a brilliant start line, it does 3 elements or 4 elements, you reward the dog, so brilliant. You go to competition, you ask the dog to do more, the dog is on a start line, you aren't maintaining criteria, before you know it, you have a uniquely dog show environment issue. And that's a classic thing that people say, he only does it in shows, and that is a fallacy. If you replicate this scenario, you can often recreate the problem in training. So consider that as a part of the training process. In contrast, if we think of a low drive dog, so my German Spitz was a classic example of that. When I first went to compete, and he's 14 now, so it's quite some time ago, Um, he was a dog that didn't have natural desire to run, etc. He's not that type of dog. He was food motivated. His toy play had to be cultivated, so it wasn't as if he was a natural for a dog to do agility with. However, the approach I took was to use targets to teach him to run to, and then build it from there whilst I built his play up. But one of the things that I had to cover with him was his ability to run numerous jumps, etc., for my reinforcement. And when I first went to competitions, had only done short sequences in training, and I could absolutely see him question me as to why we are doing more in shows, and that would knock his confidence. So I had to go back to training and ask the dog to do longer sequences for one reinforcement, and to the point of where he could do significantly more in training than he ever would in competition. So what he learnt was competitions were easier, and the reward would come sooner, so he would then in effect run with confidence and more speed, because he learnt that was the better environment for him to get reinforcement. So definitely think about that with your training, about what your dog does. I'm not saying I would do it all the time, but I would want my dog to be able to do the whole sequence as per competition in training, in a scenario as best replicated as I could, to evaluate where my dog was at. All right, so hopefully that's answered that question. So Caroline, training a 6 breed rescue, suddenly decide that's enough. So definitely, I would say chaining is definitely something that you need to incorporate with other breeds of dogs. When you have a breed of dog that is predisposed to doing the job, and specifically dogs that like to repeat, I'm going to pick on Border Collies because they're brilliant at it. You don't have to necessarily do chaining as a matter of course, because they find the work in itself reinforcing. If you have a dog that works for the pure joy of the work, you can get away with chaining less. But if you have a dog that is doing it for the reinforcement, they need to have it explained to them that we do A, we do B, we do C, we do D, and then you get a reward. And then once you've explained that in terms of the contract, the dog will probably be really competent and confident on it. But it's definitely something that you need to incorporate, definitely with your other breeds of dogs, as opposed to the ones that are predisposed to working, because they find a lot of the behaviours that you do in the sport reinforcing. Either they have a predisposition to it, either they're sport specifically bred, so they almost have a genetic desire or bias towards that exercise, or they find the attributes of the sport reinforcing, i.e. running, i.e. biting, i.e. hunting, and so forth. But yeah, chaining is definitely a necessary entity of dog sports. Haley asks, I'm having trouble competing as he keeps visiting the score 10 halfway through, so this now makes total sense. I need to do longer sequences in training, absolutely. So the dog learns that, hey, listen, we do 20 jumps or whatever, 25 jumps for one reinforcement, and incorporate somebody in a tent. You put a tent up, or have a friend with a milling around as a distraction, and work against that, and just proof the dog. Again, all the exercises that we've done this week, all the challenges have been about evaluating, understanding, and incorporating distractions in a fun, systematic way. So definitely incorporate that into your training. Let's have a look. Petra, maybe combine Simon says in this exercise, because now I used a lot of hand and body signals. Yeah, so the idea of the challenge was to see how many behaviours your dog could do on a verbal cue or a cue, a specific cue. If you're having to support them with physical body language, then that's a great takeaway. That's a way in which you can evaluate your dog's understanding, and evaluate if, obviously in certain sports, certainly obedience, we're very specific about the cues that we are allowed to give the dog, or how many, and how we can deliver the dog the cue. Same with IGP, they're very implicit about the amount of cues. In agility, not so much, it doesn't really matter. Rallyo, I think there's obviously you can use several cues, but with certain sports, cues are very, very relevant. So as a trainer, because I'm from that background, I have a bias towards teaching my dogs to respond to a verbal cue or a physical cue on one response to one cue, and the behaviour being really clean. And that's my aspiration with all my dogs, to have that level of understanding. So that way, when I go into competition, if I say the cue, my belief is that the dog understands it, and I haven't subconsciously or inadvertently painted in the picture of me, using my upright body language or hand signal, etc. Because obviously, in what I do, we would get marked for that. So that would be in against my ability to compete successfully. So definitely great evaluation, Petra. Really, really good that you've taken that on board, and some work can be done on that to strengthen it up. So let's have a look. Any other questions about chaining or your specific dog training challenges that you're having, on any of the challenges that we've had during the week? Make sure there's no others. Just check on my phone. Sometimes there's a delay. Okay, I don't think there's any more questions. So, just a live to go over today's challenges. Those, how many behaviours can your dog do in 1 minute for one reinforcement? Really, really simple challenge, but as you probably have found out, there's actually quite a lot to it and a lot of complexity, as with all challenges. They appear simple, but actually there's a great takeaway that will help your dog's dog sports understanding and career be even better than what it currently is. So, as I mentioned, if you're interested in signing up for Obedience Fanatics or the Heel Work course, and you want, at the moment, anybody that signs up will get access to my VIP group, where you'll get coaching and feedback from me directly, and be part of my Obedience Fanatics community, which has succeeded at various levels in all dog sports. They're a phenomenal bunch. In fact, somebody went today and she's won 2 classes with 2 different dogs as part of the group, so another little success. So shout out to Sally Wheeler with her 2 dogs. So amazing. So let's have a look. Caroline said, thanks, Carl. Difficult when I've only trained GSDs and Border Collies. My rescue is just as smart, but not the same work ethic. Yeah, it's all about adapting, and that's what I love about dog training. So all my dogs have different levels of work ethic or desire, for want of a term. It's just about finding what the dog wants and manipulating it to get the things that I want. Whether it's running with my other dogs, chasing squirrels, tugging a toy, taking food, I've just got to work out that bit, and then I can hopefully train them effectively. So thank you guys for your participation, your questions. Hopefully I've answered them. If not, just tag me in a post and I can obviously pick them up and answer the questions if you pick this up retrospectively. Remember to hashtag your videos, post it on either my timeline or your own. As long as you put the hashtag on, I'll be able to find it retrospectively. And as I said, tomorrow I'll be drawing a name out randomly for a person to get that free place. As I said, I will share the link for those of you that want to join the online community. I will share the links there, and also in retrospect I will share a couple of websites for dog toys that might be of use to you guys. Whatever you're doing, enjoy the rest of your Saturday. I hope it's a fun one. The sun's currently out, so I'm going to go and try and get my dogs out. If you're watching the football, I think it's currently on. I'm not a football fan. I'm not even going to try and pretend. But hopefully it's a good game. But enjoy whatever you're doing. Enjoy your dogs. Have fun. Final challenge tomorrow. It's going to be a good one. Hopefully you're going to have fun with that as well. And I look forward to seeing your videos. Thank you all for your participation. Enjoy the rest of your day and your dogs.